Good morning. Good
Good.
morning, V. How's it going?
It is going good. It's going good on this bright and early morning. Just now getting some sun coming in outside. It's going
Good.
good. Sun came up. So sun came up. I came up. You came up. Everything's good. I'm happy. A little sleepy. I was
Everything's
enjoying
up,
that
right?
bed this
Everything's
morning.
up.
hmm I was enjoying that bed this morning. Um, but
Hmm.
I got on up anyway.
I feel you.
Yeah, I got on up anyway.
Yeah,
But welcome everybody.
that's what we have to
How are you?
do. That's what you got to do.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I got some really good rest. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
All right. Seems like we're a little bit delayed this morning, but that's okay. We're gonna not bring that into this platform. So we're gonna have a really good broadcast. No technology issues here, right, Brandon?
I know that's right. I know that's right. But to everyone else, welcome and welcome again to the In This Season podcast with your host, the Butterfly, and myself, her son. We are a mother and son duo that are interested in growth and transformation, in affirmation and motivation. And in light of that, in February, we took the initiative to read through Dennis Kimbro's Daily Motivations for African American Success um, during the Black History Month. It was an acknowledgement and a celebration of Black History Month. And then after the month, we had such a great positive response that we decided to keep it going, to keep this podcast, to keep this show going every morning at 7 a.m. So thank you, everyone, for joining us and for rolling through this book with us. So, a little bit about this book. Daily Motivations for African American Success will help you focus on the thoughts, attitudes, and deeds that will lead to the achievement of your true goals. So, in 365 short, powerful motivations, one for each day of the year, Dennis Kimbro, author of the popular book Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, leads us to discover how to use the present moment and our own gifts to transcend labels and to cultivate a positive attitude and become wise enough to know when to say yes and when to say no, and to look inward for answers to life's challenges. So each motivation begins with words of wisdom from such distinguished and celebrated African Americans as Malcolm X, Marion Wright Elderman, Whoopi Goldberg, Charlene Hunter Galt, Bill Cosby, Carl Rowan, Mother Hale, Reverend Leon Sullivan, and hundreds of others. This treasure trove of practical wisdom will give you fresh encouragement every day of the year, but what it teaches you will last a lifetime. So again, guys, if you haven't gotten the book, get the book. Get the book. This book has been such a benefit to us, and it seems to have been a benefit to the people who have been attending the show every day. And if you haven't gotten the book, of course, you're still getting some of those motivations by hearing it secondhand from us, right? But there's nothing like getting the book yourself, reading through it alongside us, and being able to go back to the book throughout the day just to check in to say, am I completing my affirmation? Did I really get the gist of today's passage? So every single day there's a new passage. Every single day there's a new quote from a distinguished African American throughout our history, and every day there's an affirmation at the end that we carry with us throughout the day that we try to implement, that we try to um, incorporate into our lives, and we try to spread to others. So, again, thank you all for being here. Mom, you got anything? You want to drop in the comments, see who we got there? Y'all, let us know where you're from. Let us know where you coming in from, how long you've been rocking with us,
We
and
got KL all the way.
okay,
KL all the way from Vegas. So it's early for him. Thank you for joining. That's by way of Nelda Brown. And we have our fabulous Miss Brenda Davis. Good morning to
appreciate
you.
you.
She's right here. She's hometown people. And then we have Brother Mike. Our brother Mike, your Uncle Mike, in with us. Thank you for joining us. So let's do it, Brandon. I mean, I had a good day. The one thing I do want to say, what as of lately, what I am really loving is that I'm not picking stuff up so I don't have to put it down. My suitcase is empty till I'm ready to travel. How about that?
I know that's right. You bring
So I
suitcases
ain't
for what
picking
you're
it up.
bringing back,
I
right?
ain't picking it up. Yeah, so I ain't having to put nothing down. I'm saying it just like I want to say it. I ain't picking it up, so don't come to me with it, cause I ain't gonna pick it up for you, and I ain't gonna put it down. Like, bring the cup
That's
if you want to borrow some sugar. All
right.
right, so let's do it, Brandon. Let's jump right into it. How are you? You got anything you want to drop out for the people?
Oh man, I'm good. I had a beautiful day yesterday. Of course, busy as it needed to be. Fasting went well. Prayer went well. Last night at the mosque. The same way, kind of the same thing. I'm going with life very freely. I could probably get more sleep. I could probably do
Mhm.
myself a little better than that. Um, but it's just it's a beautiful life and a beautiful approach to life, and I'm excited about living it. So as of late, especially in the month of Ramadan, where you know our acts of worship are highlighted and multiplied, and we're supposed to do more of those if we can. I've been doing my best to do that, and then with eating, not eating in the daytime, I'm eating a good bit at night. So I'll be up eating and munching. I ate some of those desserts that we got from the farmers market. Um, so I had a tasteful night.
Mm,
Let's say I had a tasteful night. So I'm blessed. Woke
yeah.
up this morning, ate some
Wow. You have to
ate some
remind
soup.
me to.
You go ahead.
Yeah, you have to remind me to share as you mentioned, the desserts, y'all. Oh my gosh, these desserts are so good. So I didn't remember to do that yesterday. So I do need to drop a link out for you guys before we get off, and we'll share the name. I'll just have to get up and get it. But remind me to do that as I
We'll
promised
do.
them. Okay.
We'll do.
So
Today
let's get
is
into it.
Today is the 47th consecutive day of reading through Dennis Kimbro's Daily Motivations for African American Success. So a big round of applause
Yes.
for you, Mom. A big pat on the back for everybody that's been attending. We appreciate y'all, and we hope that it's been as much of a benefit to you guys as it has been to us. But in moving on to our title for today, on this 47th consecutive day, which is March the 18th, our title is Wonder Bread. Wonder Bread. What y'all know about Wonder Bread? Y'all remember that um, Wonder Bread, the came in the white bag with the little red and blue dots on it. Yeah, we know about that Wonder Bread. So the title is Wonder
Yes.
Bread, and the
Brandon, for our
uh,
Memphis peeps, the Wonder Bread was on Jackson Avenue. I think
oh
the Wonder Bread little store was on
the-
Jackson Avenue a long time ago, right by the Oaks Apartments, if I believe. So you got to be old school to know about that. But that's what I
wow,
thought about when I heard Wonder Bread, the little store
wow,
in
wow.
Jackson.
Look at that. See, a little history here in Memphis. So Wonder Bread is the title for March 18th, and the quote is from Desmond Tutu, who is the South African activist and Anglican Archbishop. Desmond Tutu, very famous bishop. And he said that death is not the end for someone who has faith. Death is not the end for someone who has faith. Um, and so I don't know how that hits for you, but death is not the end for someone who has faith. I like that. I like that. It's simple, but it's deep. It can be looked into a lot of other
Mhm.
ways. Um, and the passage goes as this: during an interview with a nationally known magazine, John Morton Finney, a man who earned 11 college degrees in his lifetime, was asked to list the men and women he admired most throughout history. Names such as Hopmer, Cervantes, Du Bois, Aristotle, Shakespeare, and the greatest of them all, Jesus Christ, came immediately to mind. If I were to name my list, I would include individuals like Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, A. Philip Randolph, Ida B. Wells, Phyllis Wheatley, and Martin Luther King. These achievers knew that man lives not by bread alone, but by faith. Bread is vital, but in appraising an individual for greatness, wealth, or bread is never a criterion. Nobody stops to ask how much wealth people like Frederick Douglass, or Harriet Tubman, or Sojourner Truth, or Mary McLeod Bethune possessed when they died. They achieved historical immortality long after bread ceased to sustain their bodies. Man must live by faith, faith in himself and faith in others. We must trust the doctor to heal our bodies. We must trust those who drive our school buses. We must trust the banks that manage our money. We must trust the pilot who takes us from one destination to another, thousands of feet above the earth. And though we live by faith in others, more importantly, we must live by faith in ourselves. Faith to believe that we can develop into useful men and women. And the affirmation for today that we read 3 times, one for you, one for me, and one for the person that you're going to send this to, is I will seek the real bread of life, faith, and understanding. Again, I will seek the real bread of life, faith, and understanding. And last time, the affirmation for today is I will seek the real bread of life, faith, and understanding. What you think about
Brandon, can we add patience to that?
that? Well, you remember faith was broken.
Can we add patience to the faith and understanding?
Remember faith was broken down into patience and gratitude.
Yes.
So I guess it's already in there, but yeah, we can add it just for extra. But what do you think about that? What do you think about
that? And we
that?
also talked about the power of understanding. So, oh boy, there's a lot. I almost want you to read the passage again. How are we for time?
Oh, we're good. But I think the passages. You go ahead. You read the parts that you want to read through. I think they got it.
I want to get it.
You don't feel like you got it yet?
So wonderful. No, I mean, I just feel like I missed some parts of it, and I feel like it was really good. Let's go back to the title, Wonder Bread, and death is not, y'all, he doesn't want to read it for me, but that's okay. Wonder Bread, death is not the end for someone who has faith. And I'm looking at it 2 ways. My death, the dying, right? Leaving this world, but also people that I love who have and who will leave this world. But maybe 3 ways. The people who still have the wonder in their bread, right? They still have it and they're still living, but they're not alive, if that makes sense, right? They don't have they're not enthusiastic about their life, which was yesterday's, right? So I don't know. There's a lot in this one, and I will seek the real bread of life. It says faith and understanding. And we broke faith down a couple of days ago. But more importantly, I think we also talked about this, understanding your faith, because so many people, we say we have faith, we say we love ourselves. But when we say we have the faith and we don't have the patience or we don't trust it, right? Which is in most cases why it doesn't come our way. Because yesterday I mentioned the faith of a mustard seed, and it's talking about faith here today and how small a mustard seed is. And also understanding not just your faith, yourself. Having an understanding of what you see as success, right? Having an understanding of your goal and the plan for that goal. Y'all, I think I said it yesterday, you got to fight. You got to fight for this life. For the life that you want, you got to fight for it. And the person you have to fight the most is yourself. You have to think you are the wonder bread. And if you do, you don't die. I almost want to say you multiply. And you multiply, you really do if you have it, if you see yourself as the wonder bread, if you have the faith, the patience, the understanding, you know what you do? You give people space to be and do the same. So you do multiply, and vice versa. People give you the opportunity to do so as well. So death is not the end for someone who has faith, not your death, not the people that you love and who are alive, right here. We used to have this thing called dying to live. That's what the Butterfly Evolution show was based on, dying to live. People are dying to live right here on this earth while they are alive. There's a dying to self that needs to take place, particularly based on how late in life you decided to transform yourself, to be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Y'all, your Wonder Bread needs Wonder Bread, right? And that's why it's so important for our babies, for us to, I love it when it comes back to the babies. As I've mentioned, the mental state of a baby or of a young person is more important than those A's and B's. We'll push them to get those
Right.
good grades, but we don't push them to be emotionally healthy. Allow them to see us having patience, being emotional healthy, having control of our emotions with example, with examples for sure, with a conversation on their level for sure. So I might just get me a shirt and say Wonder Bread. Right. How about
if
that? Can I do that?
if you
Is
want,
it a
Mom,
patent
yeah,
on
you can do
Wonder
that.
Bread?
You can do that. If you want me to read it again, I can. I didn't want to. I didn't
Friend,
want
I'm
to
gonna need
be
you to wake up
disobedient.
this morning, babe.
Can you hear me?
Come on with it.
Can you hear me? You want me to read it again?
You didn't want to do what?
I said, you want me to read it again?
It sounds like you're freezing on my part, but go ahead.
Oh, okay, I might be.
Oh,
I don't know.
no, no, no. That's okay. Mm-mm.
You sure?
No, I'm
I
good.
got you now. I got you. But so
It's all
here's something
good. You don't have to read it
that I'm
again
looking at. Here's something that I'm looking at.
unless you
It's
want to.
titled Wonder Bread, right? It's titled Wonder Bread, and then it says that man does not live on faith or on bread alone, right? But by faith, which is like I think the end of that passage. And so if man doesn't live on bread alone, not by faith, but the quote is death is not the end for someone who has faith, then it means that after death, they are still sustained, but not with physical bread, but with a wondrous bread. That's what I'm getting from it, if that makes any sense. That there's still something that sustains them after their physical life, right? And so I think the trick is getting part of that wonder bread while you're still alive. Being able to eat from that wonder bread while you're still alive. And then one technical thing, Mom, on our affirmation that's at the bottom of the screen, it says day 46 as opposed to day 47. A slight, little small technical thing, but I am
Okay,
I'm a
I can
perfectionist,
change
so
that
I
right
always
now.
yeah, no worries at all. But that's what I was getting from it. That man doesn't live on bread alone, but by faith, and that faith is that wonder bread. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? That faith is
Say
that
that
wonder
one more
bread.
time for me.
So the title for today
Faith is the
is
Wonder Bread.
Wonder Bread. Right. So like man doesn't live off of, physical bread alone, but by faith. So that's the only thing that I'm seeing that's being replaced for bread. And so faith is the wonder bread. It's the sustenance that keeps people going. For example, when it referenced Frederick Douglass says, nobody stops to ask how much wealth people like Frederick Douglass or Harriet Tubman, and the list goes on. It says it doesn't ask how much money or wealth that they had before they died or when they died, that they achieved historical immortality long after bread ceased to sustain their bodies. So what was it? What is it that
Mhm.
sustains their legacy? What was it that they had during their lifetime that gave them this immortal legacy and status to where they're still spoken about, in some cases, 100 years after their death, and some people, thousands of years after their death. What was it that they pulled from? What was it that sustained them? That gave them that legacy, or that allowed them to make such an impact to where we would even remember them. And it seems to be faith. Like Frederick Douglass had to have an incredible amount of faith um, to first gain his and work for his freedom, which he was already due as a human being, right? And then once he became free, I think he went all the way up to a federal U.S. being a representative as a U.S. Marshal. You know, in the federal government, back then, after being a slave all the way up to U.S. Marshal. And I think in some cases he was ambassador to like a couple other countries or something like that. So an incredible, breadth and perspective and scope of a life. I think that was more than bread. It was faith. What do you think, Mark?
Okay. So where it reads here, bread is vital, but in appraising an individual for greatness, wealth, or bread, I see what you're saying, is bread is never a criteria. Nobody stops to ask how much wealth people like Frederick Douglass, which is one of my favorite people, you guys. If you want somebody to study for encouragement, study the life of Frederick Douglass. I think I get it. I think I see what you're
You think
saying. I
so?
do. But I think I'm just looking at it a different way. Right. But I do get what you're saying. I do. For you all who are out there, come on, drop something for us. What are you getting out of this that may be different than the way that we're seeing, or that confirms the way that either one of us is seeing it? And I think mine is more, I'm making it a bit more personal for life. But I do see, and I love where it talks about, we think about, when we talk about or praise, that we praise individuals for greatness, we are not really praising them based on the meat, the internal, the faith that they had to endure, right? Their
Mm.
success, or endure their path of life. Is that what you're saying? Like, we don't really see the Frederick Douglasses so much
No,
so,
not
right? Is that what you're
what I'm what
saying?
I'm what I'm saying is like we eat bread to live, right? Like we take this back to a real basic
Mm-hmm.
level of like existence. We eat bread to live. But a verse, it's citing a verse out of the Bible where it says that it says or it alludes to it, says these achievers knew that man lives not by bread alone but by faith, right? So there's some context there that man doesn't live just off of what he eats, but there's something else that drives him. There's a difference. Like, what's the difference
Mm-hmm.
between a man that eats bread and is a failure, and a man who eats bread and is a success? If they both eat the same thing, one could just assume, that they should have similar outcomes, but there's something that makes the difference there that sustains one man, um, if he has it, and doesn't sustain another man if he doesn't have it, and that thing is faith. So it's like man doesn't live on bread alone but by faith. So faith is a type of bread. It's just a wonder bread, like a wondrous bread, a bread that you have to wonder about, a bread that you can't see, that you can't touch, but definitely has an impact and sustains
Okay.
somebody in a different kind of way. That's the way that I'm seeing it, that this wonder bread is something that sustains you, but isn't something you actually eat. Right? Right. Like Brandon Davis says, bread is our spiritual nourishment. Right.
Okay.
So that's where I'm taking it from. I mean, even in the Christian context, right? For people who are
Okay.
Christian, they look at the bread and breaking bread and the Last Supper and what that represented and what people have in communion. So there's a metaphor in the bread for being more than just uh, than just wheat flour and all this other stuff. There's something else that sustains mankind, or at least the believers and the successful people, whether they're religious or not. But it's faith in themselves, faith in um, that life happens for them and not to them. Just a different level and a different edge that they carry in life that sustains their efforts. So that's what I'm getting out of it. What do y'all think in the
Okay.
comments?
Okay. Okay. So I just read it over just briefly to myself, just a bit. And I see what you're saying. Particularly, these achievers knew that man lives not by bread alone, but by faith. So I'm getting it. I had to go back and read it here for me. So I get that. I get it.
Cool.
I get it. So y'all
You
come
get it?
on in the comments. What are you getting out of this? And I'll say that again, Brandon.
Oh no, I'm not saying anything. It's just there's a slight delay, so I think you're
I
catching me
don't know
afterwards.
what's happening. Oh my. Yeah, for some reason, with you and I, for some reason, but that's all good. That's all good, and that's why I think I had to go back and read it because I think I was hearing every other word from you on my end, which
Uh,
made it kind of choppy. Um,
uh,
so yeah, okay, I'm gonna have to. I get it, but I'm still gonna have to read this one over, probably and over one more time. But I do get what you're saying on it.
you know what I'm gonna do?
So it says faith. Let's see, Brother Mike is. It says faith without works is dead. Okay, I get it, and that's so true. That is true, Mike. And we said yesterday, or Brandon said yesterday, we have to pray on our feet. At some point, you have to get off your knees, or however you pray. You have to get up and walk that prayer out with your faith and patience and understanding that it's not going to be answered on your time. Because if it was, you wouldn't need to pray because it would have happened for you then. And you have to be able to endure, right? As Frederick Douglass did, because he's the one that says, you can have my body, but you will never get my mind. You can have my body, but my mind, he knew that maybe his mind was the bread, was the faith. There lied his faith, his understanding of who who got him through, his source, which was Almighty God. So let's see. We got something from Brother Trent. Good morning to you, Brother Trent. Living off your faith is different type of nourishment. I'm more full now than I've ever been. Walking in this recovery journey by faith is very fulfilling. Amen to that.
Oh, Trent, I owe Trent a
That's
call
a good
back.
one.
That reminds me, I owe Mr.
Oh
Trent a
yeah.
call back. I'm sorry, brother. Yep. I just was reminded. Just thought about that. So I'll be doing that today. Mom, I'm gonna do something for you because I love you. I'm gonna read it one more time, and I'm gonna read it quick because there's some people that have come in a little bit later to the. Look at that face. I love you so much.
Okay.
Um, there's some people that came in a little bit later, and I want them to get this. I want them to get these references that we're making. So I'm gonna read it one more time, just because I love you and I love y'all. I'm sleepy a little bit, but I'm gonna wake up just for y'all. So it says the title for today is Wonder Bread. And our quote is, "Death is not the end for someone who has faith." And that's by Desmond Tutu, who's the South African activist and archbishop. During an interview with a nationally known magazine, John Morton Finney, a man who earned 11 college degrees in his lifetime, was asked to list the men and women he admired most throughout history. Names such as Hopner, Cervantes, Du Bois, Aristotle, Shakespeare, and the greatest of all of them, Jesus Christ, came immediately to mind. If I were to name my list, I would include individuals like Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Philip Randolph, Ida B. Wells, Phyllis Wheatley, and Martin Luther King. These achievers knew that man lives not by bread alone, but by faith. Bread is vital, but in appraising an individual for greatness, wealth, or bread here is never a criteria. So nobody stops to ask how much wealth people like Frederick Douglass or Harriet Tubman or Sojourner Truth or Mary McLeod Bethune, how much they possessed when they died. No one asked that. They achieved historical immortality long after bread ceased to sustain their bodies. Man must live by faith.
Mm.
So there it is. You see that? It switches it up right there from bread ceased to sustain their bodies. And then the
Mm.
next sentence, man must live by faith, as Mike references James chapter 2, verse 17 through 26. Man must live by faith, faith in himself and faith in others. We must trust the doctor to heal our bodies. We must trust those who drive our school buses. We must trust the banks that manage our money. We must trust the pilot who takes us from one destination to another, thousands of feet above the earth. Though we live by faith in others, more importantly, we must live by faith in ourselves. Faith to believe that we can develop into useful men and women. So it's in the beginning, it's speaking very much about faith, especially in the first about bread, excuse me, in the first paragraph. And on into the second, it starts to make a transition to say that man does not live by bread alone. That's kind of the central piece, or the meat of it, the top of the mountain, if you will. And then going downhill on the backside of that mountain, it's switching bread. It speaks to bread being vital, and then it switches from bread being a physical food to being a spiritual food, one that's not eaten by teeth and salivated by tongues, but one that's like, eaten with minds and salivated by hearts. And I think that's the difference here, that man is not eating or consuming just physical bread, but a spiritual bread, or a bread that you cannot see, that sustains them, not just in this life, but progresses them and gives them a station and status in the next or in the hereafter. So that's where I'm getting from it. Did you feel where I'm coming from this time?
Okay.
We got a little delay on you.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
I said,
What
got
y'all
it.
think?
Thank you.
Okay. So what else we got
Let's
out
see
there?
here.
Hey, shout out to all
All
the
right.
people that
So we
joined.
got Reginald Lewis to the list. Okay. Nelda Brown said I'll add Reginald Lewis to the list.
Okay, cool. Yeah, who are some of the people that y'all would put on your list? If you had to like make a list of men and women that you admired throughout history, is there anybody that you heard that is on your list, like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Harriet Tubman, people like that? Or is there somebody that didn't make the list that we just read right here? But is there anybody that should be on this list? Like, who's on your list? That's what I want to know. Who's on your most important or most influential, most impactful people in your life? Like people that we would all know. Of course, we got family, we got close friends, but I mean people that are whose names are written in the history books. Is there anybody that stands out to you? I know for me, of course, it's like, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
I'm going to stick with my Frederick Douglass.
Yeah, Frederick Douglass. Yeah. He's a good one.
Yeah, he's still one of my favorite people, right? Okay. So for me, I'm going to stick with him, and I like that it's referenced in this book as well. So,
Yeah.
So good stuff. Let's see. Matt says he totally gets it, and Brother Mike says Nate Turner for him.
Nat Turner.
Let's see.
1831.
Nat Turner.
The Slave Rebellion.
Let's see. Okay. Yep. Any more? Y'all drop them in there before we
might have to
get ready to
do a whole thing on Nat Turner. We might have to do a whole thing on Nat Turner. Yeah, Nat Turner was a bad boy.
Okay. All right. So, all right. That's all I have, Brandon. If we're going to work to bring it to a close, Wonder Bread.
Sounds good. Yeah, I got you.
All right. Let's do what we do.
I think there's so much in this that we could get. Like, ideas are coming to mind right now. But again, y'all, we are past the time. We try to keep y'all in for 30 minutes while y'all are on your way to work or getting ready for the day. So we appreciate you guys being patient through a couple of technical difficulties. There is a slight delay. Anytime there's some clouds outside or there's a storm or something, we get a little bit of a delay and some technical difficulties. But we don't let it stop us, right? Because we don't live by the bread of the connection alone, but by faith. So I appreciate y'all rocking with us. Appreciate y'all coming to the comments. I want to give a shout out to Farvi Cobra out of Dubai. Crazy dude, always joking. Never knows a serious moment. My boy Slim Reaper, the humble assassin on my fight team. Amazing Millionaires 89, Gator Sports Therapy, and again, Far From Home Chronicles. I appreciate y'all rocking with us. We're getting a couple more people that are coming in every day on the IG Live. And thank y'all on the Facebook Live and on the YouTube Live. Please go to our YouTube page, In This Season Podcast. Like, subscribe, so that you get notifications when we do go live, and that the algorithm knows that this is the type of information and the type of media that you want to see more of. Hopefully it'll send you all types of daily motivations. It'll send you affirmations. Your algorithm will be, full of encouragement as opposed to some of the mess that we see in the rest of the world. So thank y'all for rocking with us on this 47th day. And our title once again was Wonder Bread. We will read again this, the quote from a distinguished African-American, and a reading of our affirmation. So again, the title Wonder Bread, and the quote from Desmond Tutu is, "Death is not the end for someone who has faith." And that's really dear to me because there's been a lot of death in the last 2 weeks or so in my life, as far as, having to bury a friend and having that guy that got hit by the car and trying to resuscitate him. Have, one of my animals pass away. So like that's comforting to see how this book is kind of following me in its titles. Um, and the affirmation for today that we will read 3 times: one for me, one for you, and one for the individual that you are going to send this to. We trust you. Like it says, we trust the person who drives the school bus for our children. We trust the doctor to help heal our bodies. I'm trusting you to send this link, to send this podcast to someone that you know and love that needs this, right? Someone whose yes needs to be yes and their no needs to be no. Somebody that needs daily motivations and encouragement. So we will read this 3 times. The affirmation for today: I will seek the real bread of life, faith, and understanding.
Understanding.
I will seek the real bread of life, faith, and understanding.
Faith and understanding.
And last time, so that it really settles in to our conscious, it's on the forefront of our brains. We carry it on the tips of our tongues as we leave and go to our different places. I will seek the real bread of life, faith, and understanding. I wish you all faith. I wish you all understanding. I wish you peace. I wish that today is just like a huge benefit to you, and that you got something from this passage today that you're going to bring back tomorrow and let us know. So tomorrow when you guys come through, let us know how this book, this passage, whatever you've read for the last couple of days, how it's helped you in life. I would love to hear not only your reactions to the passage that we read tomorrow, but when we open up, let me see, what y'all's day went like yesterday. And I'll do a quick reminder tomorrow to see just how this book helped you in your day. So take note of that today, guys. We're going to end it the same way we do every time, by telling you that we love you, that we expect to see you tomorrow, and we expect you to send this link to somebody that you know and love. Thank y'all so much, Mom. If you have anything else, that's all I got for you.
Good. Peace. Thank y'all for joining us.
All right, y'all.